mothers or only incarcerated because they can't afford to post bail. Of the more than 115,000 women in jails in the U.S., more than 60% haven't been convicted of a crime, but are incarcerated while awaiting trial because they can't make bail. According to the Sentencing Project, 44% of women in jail are black, and 80% of women are single mothers or primary caregivers for their children, according to a 2016 report by Vera Institute of Justice. These disparities are among the many reasons why advocates say the cash bail system is long overdue for reform, if not abolishment. Right? Paying ransom for freedom. Kara McClure founded Faith and Works in 2017 and its bail fund 3 years later, which is specifically dedicated to bailing out black mothers. She said the cash bail system criminalizes poverty while rewarding wealth. Now, see, here's the thing. This is another thing I said. When we started hearing from Goldman Sachs, when we started hearing from Google and MasterCard, all these programs started coming out, what I started to tell people is what we are actually seeing is usually educated black women, right, who are working in white collar environments and solipsistically focusing on just their own demographic, right? This is the same group you saw go to Ferguson, right, in regard to the advent, or really not the advent, but the mass, publicizing of Black Lives Matter. It's the same group. But the difference, though, is that they were targeting an issue around black male death, which seemingly on the surface looks like it's about black males. But I posted before the articles written by the article. There was an article by that addressed one of the founders of BLM, and she made it very explicit. BLM is for black women. That's it. So in other words, addressed one of the founders of BLM, and she made it very explicit. BLM is for black women. That's it. So in other words, they targeted issues that were black male centric because, when you see a black male damn near killed on camera, everybody's attention is on that. But what they were doing really wasn't about black males. It was really a bait and switch that had more to do with transferring the attention to issues that they felt that the attention should go to. But now we're at another stage of it. We have white collar, educated black women who are working in environments where they can leverage resources within the environments they're in for themselves. You know, it's the kind of and it's such a consistent kind of practice. Again, I've said this for years. I've known people, right, who are white collar and through their work will help create Black Girl Rocks organizations, Black Girl Empowerment, Black Women Empowerment. They'll create businesses that only sell to black women and girls, all of that, and have sons at home. No daughters, sons, strung out, some of them, homeless, some of them, struggling, even struggling in school, having difficulty, unemployed. And I'm not saying these are all black males, but this is all black males across the board. No, I'm saying that I've met many of these mothers who can go to work in one vein and advocate for black women and girls only, come home to sons and see no connection between the two. When you have that degree of solipsistic framework going on, it's not surprising to me that you actually can see high level corporations starting to invest. So when we talk about this Faith and Works program, I'm not at all surprised that this is led by a woman named Kara McClure. And somehow the idea is that black males overlook and dismiss everybody else. They only focus on themselves. They're selfish. There's a degree of epistemological jealousy going on, even in the academy, about who gets attention for what. Black men getting killed gets attention as long as it's on camera. We know that because most of us can only remember one or two, three at best, black men who've been killed by police every year. Usually it's around one or two. Usually if you ask them, we're referencing someone that died 3 years ago. But the numbers, 200 to 300 a year, we can ignore hundreds of black male deaths per year, and we're oblivious, right? So Not surprising to see this because I think this is the kind of thing that's happening. Even the city-based programs I was talking about earlier that target single mothers in terms of giving them cash every month. Usually, when you look at those who are implementing those programs from within city jobs, black women. The solipsism is deep. The degree to which they see the world strictly in terms of only other black women. This is one of the difficulties that black men and women are having. And this is one of the things that led me to tonight's show. We talk about ways policy enhances the gulf between black men and women. When you advocate policy, but you only do so for your demographic, but there's still an expectation that black men, to prove their dedication to the community, still have to create for everybody. So, and this is not even something I planned. If we look at those first two brothers I talked about earlier, whether you're talking about Colin Kaepernick or whether you're talking about the Chef Daryl Schuler, they didn't create programs for black boys and men. They didn't create Black Boy Joy or Black Boy Magic programs. They created programs to help the underrepresented. And if you walked into those facilities, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw mostly black folk being helped, even though that doesn't even seem to be the letter of, what they're committed to doing with those programs. But I also will bet you will not see a majority of males being the target. I would love to be wrong, but I don't think so. Yet, program after program after program that we hear about, boys and men are not even mentioned. And understand, this doesn't even just have to be an abstract issue with boys and men, right? What's up, BGS? It has more to do with we have relationships. This is why I said when you're talking about these women in positions like this, you have sons, husbands, boyfriends, fathers, nephews, brothers. Even during the pandemic, when brothers were coming onto the show talking about the various pandemic-related resources they had to apply to get support for their entrepreneurial businesses, many of them talked about using a black female face as the face of their company, just to get support. This is where we are. But there's no place where we can talk about this. Nobody wants to have that discussion. So anyway, it continues. Paying ransom for freedom is something that goes way back historically, she said. Let's just say okay, that is not. All right, let me try it over here. There we go. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but no, you can't. What I just did is I ran a search in the article to see if black men were even mentioned once. It says 0 out of 0. Not once. 20,000 people helped across the U.S., 76% were women. But if I say that programs are systematically ignoring black men and boys, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's offensive. That is sexist. That is misogynist. That's the big problem, right? That I said it. Not that it's happening, and not that there's a reason that black males need far more support they do. We're going to ignore all of that. We're going to ignore the fact that they get arrested more often for crimes that everybody commits. We're going to ignore the fact that there's more brothers in this situation than there have ever been women. Ever. Hell, up to a few years ago, there were more incarcerated black men here than women around the entire earth. Shout out again, Antonio Moore. We're going to ignore the fact that they get arrested more often for crimes that everybody commits. We're going to ignore the fact that there's more brothers in this situation than there have ever been women. Ever. Hell, up to a few years ago, there were more incarcerated black men here than women around the entire earth. Shout out again, Antonio Moore. More black men incarcerated in the U.S. than all women in the world. And when you create a program to help people with bail so they can get back to supporting their families, you help an extremely small demographic. This is fucking ridiculous. But this is what I mean when I say that we're really witnessing the era of the buffer class. We have a new era of a buffer class group in the black community that's been really being cultivated over the last few generations. We can go back to the 1960s. We can go before that, but I'm talking about this latest era. From the 1960s onward, you have a demographic in the black community that is becoming accustomed to reaching out for support and getting it, right? By the time you get to the 1980s, that transitions to a greater emphasis on education, greater access to higher education, greater access, especially through affirmative action, which we've already talked about on the show very recently, looking at a number of critical papers that targeted both white and black women and excluded, in many respects, black men. Because with white women, they became the primary minority by the time affirmative action really got some wind in its sails. Black women can be counted as double minorities. And it's interesting how little documentation, you might find on double minority status. But shout out to Derek Bell, prestigious law professor at Harvard, who has since passed away. He talked about it. Not a whole lot of
Before I let a little bit more of this play, you Jacobites, you so-called black men, if you still sleeping calling yourself that, you aboriginals, you ain't got no friends. I had prayed to the All Father. Or I just asked him, why nobody talking about this shit? Like, we're talking about addressing um, people doing us wrong by, and and nobody ever want to talk about this. And again, everybody can unsubscribe as far as I give a shit because I don't care no more. When I first started to realize this betrayal, uh, I never really gave a fuck about speaking it because it was clearly happening. So anybody that want to put on a cape could burn in hell as far as I'm concerned. We don't got no friends. My whole message to y'all, to you men, you don't owe nobody shit, man. You really don't. You don't owe nobody shit. The cracker been making money off your blood. White bitches making money off your blood. Black bitches making money off your blood. And they come in your face and call you brother. Hey, can you get this for me on the top shelf that I can't reach? Climb your independent ass up on them shelves and get that shit, bitch. Not helping you. I don't help bitches with shit no more. I don't hold doors. All my life, I've been told by my maternal parent, you know, how much more important women were. And literally, this fucking dementor looked me in the windows of my soul and told me the most important thing in a family unit was the mother, and that fathers could be, replaced. Like uh like a old carburetor and need to get switched out. Carburetor help vehicles move fuel before they had fuel injection. That's the best example I can give of what that is. When I was younger, I had one of my uncles was a mechanic. It don't matter. I don't know shit about cars though. Uh, uh, you know, I actually unsubbed from T.S. Johnson's channel and Crimson Cures because I just got to the point where, man, I'm surprised one of these goddamn hyenas ain't trying to kill Kendra or Shahrazad Ali because they've been Shahrazad. Well, nah, they did. Shahrazad Ali was getting death threats for decades, but she been sniping y'all with the truth. We don't have no support, man. We really don't, and I see it. I said, and anybody who want to say, well, brother, we about to get this, we about to, the Most High coming. Why talk about this now? You know what I mean? Yo, go get hit by a bus, nigga. We gonna talk about everybody who did us wrong, but we not gonna talk about the number one. If a lot of y'all niggas was being honest, man, and I'm gonna talk to you on some real nigga shit. If a lot of y'all niggas was being honest, you was broken before you ever got hair on your balls, man. Before you ever even started becoming a man, that woman broke you. Told you your father wasn't shit, so by extension, you wasn't shit. I mean, daddy was good enough to let for you to let him in your guts, though. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, he wasn't shit. And after demoralizing you and telling you all this shit, they tell you, I do it all again. You're like, well, bitch, I wouldn't. I can't stand your ass. And you clearly hate me. And then you go out and you think, whatever, I'm going to go on with my life. You start to realize, like, the treatment is the same. I listened to some audio on YouTube, these black women. Because everybody want to talk about racist people and them talking and saying racist shit online. Making fun of George Floyd, calling for his mother when the officer was kneeling on his neck. Saying that, you black men are a bunch of defeated, emasculated, conquered losers, basically. Dusties is these, and look, there's a few, because somebody will go, well, hey, brother, not all the women, and again to you, disrespectfully, shut the fuck up. Because you want to have a conversation about needles in a haystack, and I'm talking about a whole motherfucking barn right now. But you want to talk to me about some goddamn needles. Them needles ain't tipping the scale the other way. I say this because first and foremost, you need to get angry. You need to stop giving your time and energy to somebody just because they look like you and because they're a woman. Because you know goddamn well, even right now, if a brother asked you for help, you wouldn't. And I'm not saying you should. You shouldn't do nothing you don't want to do. If your heart ain't in it, don't do it, Bennett. But we was raised to be obligated to be subservient to everybody. We subservient to this white man and his jackass system. Police want to stop you because you breathing and you gotta stop. This goofy bitch, you ain't making enough money. You done fell in love with this goofy hoe. You ain't got enough.